Welcome to Vacuum Wars, and to our review of the iLife A30 Pro robot vacuum. It's been a long time since we've reviewed a model from this company, and the A30 Pro has a lot of modern features while still keeping the very low price that makes iLife popular. We bought one and put it through all kinds of tests over the last few weeks to see how these updates performed. This inexpensive model had some surprisingly good scores. And in this review, we'll cover the pros and cons, and whether we think it's a contender to become our favorite budget robot. Links are in the description, and let's get started. Starting with the basics, the A30 Pro is a robot vacuum and mop combo from iLife, which is a robot vacuum brand that is now celebrating 10 years in business. This is a very inexpensive model considering what it comes with, including an auto-empty base station, a mopping function, and LiDAR navigation. There is a variant we have not tested called the A30S, which is a vacuum-only model that lists a higher suction rating than the A30 Pro, and it comes without the auto-empty base station. In this review, we'll compare it to our average scores and to our current budget pick, the Mova S10, which is currently the one to beat for under $300. Moving to the pros, the A30 Pro had a really good vacuum. The official max suction on this model is only 5,000 pascals, but in our suction bench test, it measured twice the average. The airflow was also impressive, coming in higher than both the average CFM and the Mova model. It did a good job at its primary function as a vacuum, sweeping debris of different sizes from the surface of both hard floors and carpets. The vacuum has 4 suction levels, and it has an automatic carpet boost that triggers max suction over rugs and carpets. In our carpet deep clean test, where we embed sand into medium pile carpets and measure how much the robot is able to remove, it picked up 85% of the sand for a higher than average score. The main brush is a single bristle brush in a floating housing, and it did a fantastic job in our flattened pet hair pickup test. For this test, we press 2.5-inch hairs onto carpet, and then we weigh how much the robot is able to pick up. The A30 Pro managed a perfect score here, removing 100% of the pet hair in the test, beating both the average and the Mova. We were also happy with its hair tangle test, where we used 7-inch hair to see how prone the main brush is to wrapping. The brush only had 11% of the hairs tangled on the brush, which is much lower than both the average and the Mova, and pretty good for a budget robot. It scored way above average and above the Mova in our Crevice test as well, so we felt pretty confident that as far as vacuuming goes, the A30 Pro is a really strong choice. This model includes a mopping feature, which is another pro. The mop is a basic flat pad design, which we would expect at this price tier. It has an electric water tank with 3 flow levels, and the tank itself is a single module that has one section for dry debris and another for water. The pads do not lift over carpets, so you will need to do vacuuming and mopping in separate runs if you have a lot of rugs or carpets, and mopping mode is activated when you attach the mop pad. While the robot is able to sense carpets for increasing its suction, it will not automatically avoid them in mopping mode, so iLife recommends that you set up no mop zones in the app. Another pro is its LiDAR navigation. LiDAR is appearing more on budget robots, and it makes a huge difference when compared to the random bump and turn style that historically dominated the budget tier. In this iLife model, that update gave it a genuinely good navigation efficiency. It covered a lot more area per minute than the average. Its battery efficiency was a little below the average, but because its navigation was so strong, the iLife can cover a higher estimated square feet per charge than the average robot in our dataset. Another pro is its auto-empty base station. The base station empties debris into a 2.5-liter disposable bag. iLife says the base station is rated for 12,000 pascals of suction to empty the robot's dustbin, and the bag is expected to hold up to 8 weeks of debris, depending on factors like whether or not you have pets. We really like when auto-empty dustbins appear on very low-budget robots, which we have seen a little more of lately, and it's a big value-added feature. Another pro with the iLife is that it comes with a remote control, one of the few robots that still uses one of these. The remote control allows you to control the robot in standby mode, increase the suction, run a whole floor clean, spot clean, or edge clean, and return to the base station. Users report really liking this feature because they can execute basic commands without needing the app. Moving on to the cons. The biggest one was the mopping performance. While this is far from the worst mop we've ever seen, it wasn't good either. In our legacy stain test, which is the one we used to test the Mova S10, the iLife got a little better than half of the score that the Mova got, and way below the average. In our new coffee-only stain test, the iLife got a score of 24 points, far below the average of 94. It did not leave behind a lot of water, which is a good thing since high water use can lead to streaked floors, but its combined mopping score was below average, and this was one place where the Muva was much stronger. The Muva's mop also has a number of other features, like mop lifting over carpet and a swinging motion for edge coverage, and the pad vibrates for scrubbing action. This means the Muva came in ahead of the iLife in both mopping performance and features. The iLife Home app was a bit of a con. It has a lot of the basic features we'd expect, with no-go and no-mop zones, map edits, scheduling, select room and zone cleaning, and suction and water level control. But the app had fewer features than a larger brand's, and the user interface wasn't very intuitive. It has the current worst user ratings for a live app in our dataset. The only apps we've reviewed with worse user reviews were the defunct Amare and Nido apps. The iLife Home app has 2.1 stars on the Android store and 1.7 on the iOS store. Users most frequently cite basic connectivity issues, frequent remapping, deleting maps, and glitching after updates. Since the app can be pretty central to the robot vacuum experience these days, poor app functionality can be a big drawback. Another con is the robot's onboard dustbin is very small, which can be a problem for homes with pets or other bulky debris. The dustbin and the water tank are both part of the same removable module, and each compartment is 200 milliliters in volume. That is much smaller than average. And if the bin fills up before the robot returns to the dock to empty, it can lead to reduced suction and cause debris to spill out. Both of these robots have pretty favorable user reviews, although the iLife has a much higher volume of reviews, with most of the critical reviews citing durability and longevity issues. iLife also warns that the A30 Pro sensors don't work well on very shiny floors, or on dark carpets or rugs, and they recommend not using it on these surfaces. In our rankings, the iLife A30 Pro did not replace the Muva S10 as our favorite robot under $300, but the final scores were very, very close. And honestly, if you value vacuuming over mopping, the iLife could be the better option. It's lower tech than the Muva, and the iLife app has a lot of room for improvement. But, depending on your priorities, we found it to be the stronger robot as far as overall vacuuming is concerned. If you're looking for robots with more features than the budget tier offers, be sure to check out our top vacuum lists on our website. We have our overall favorite robot vacuums on our top 20 list. And we also break down our top picks with different feature focuses and price points. We purchase all of the products we test, and our reviews are never sponsored. So you know all of our recommendations are based on our real opinions. Don't forget to subscribe to Vacuum Wars before you go. Thanks for watching. Vacuum Wars independently tests new vacuums year-round, and the links in the description are updated regularly to reflect our latest top picks across multiple categories. You'll also find detailed rankings on the Vacuum Wars website, including our top 20 robot vacuums, top cordless vacuums, and more. Every review here is unsponsored, just honest results. Subscribe so you never miss one, and tap the next video to keep watching.